Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to episode 2 of AM Talk, U.S. Embassy Dhaka's talk show. In this episode, we're acknowledging the 5th anniversary of the influx of the Rohingya refugees who fled genocide and crimes against humanity in Burma. Bangladesh has shown extraordinary generosity and hospitality in providing a safe haven and life-saving assistance to nearly 1 million Rohingya refugees. The United States has been a partner on this response, providing more than $1.7 billion in humanitarian assistance since 2017 to both the Rohingya refugees and Bangladeshi host communities. We are committed to this response. For episode 2, I would like to welcome Dr. Max Frieder to the stage. Dr. Frieder is the Chief Creative Officer and co-founder of the international community-based public arts organization, Artolution. He is a public artist and community arts educator and has conducted extensive research on the Rohingya refugee camps. For his global work, he was awarded the International Crisis Award from World of Children and UNICEF in 2018. Welcome, Dr. Frieder. Please begin. Tell us a little bit more about your work within the Rohingya refugee camps here in Bangladesh.
So, we started during the influx in 2017. So as the co-founder and chief creative officer of Artolution, our founding mission is to be able to train and educate local artists and educators in different refugee camps, conflict-affected communities, traumatized communities, marginalized communities, to be able to facilitate programs with children, adolescents, families, to be able to tell their own stories, to discuss issues that are essential to them, to be able to find ways to humanize and to be able to connect with their own communities. And so it's a purely locally based model. So we work in 5 regional hubs, and then I'll focus specifically on the Rohingya content. So back in 2017, we were invited to come to start a program here. And so I went and I assessed to say, okay, we need to find local artists. We have to find Rohingya artists who have the capacity to be able to facilitate programs on an ongoing basis. And when I started knocking on doors, when I first came here to Kutupalong and Balukali, people said there are no artists. Artists don't exist because all artists got killed in Burma. Wow. Yeah? That if you were an artist, you were going to get killed. So nobody were artists. So I spent 2 weeks knocking on doors, going door to door, trying to find artists, because there are no artists here. So we go and we're doing a big program in Balukali, which is the largest refugee camp in the history of humanity to have ever existed. And I'm knocking on doors and I'm painting with the children, yeah? And all of a sudden these 2 guys come up to me and they said, we're not really sure if we're artists, but we always loved making art. Muhammad Noor and Muhammad Hassan, right? And what happened is that ended up growing into Ansarullah, who taught himself how to dance with a SIM card he got in Rakhine, like illegally in his home, how to break dance, and he learned about Bollywood. We have another guy who, Muhammad Amin, who was a photographer, who always loved photography. So these 4 guys were our first 4 artists, and we did 4 large-scale murals across the camps. And this became the model. Right? And I said, we need to find female artists. We need to find female artists immediately, equal number, 4 women and 4 men. And they said there are no female artists. Women aren't even allowed out of the home in many parts of our community. And I said, look and you will find there are artists in every culture in the world. And there are incredible female artists equal to men all over the world. And they said, we'll try, we'll look. It took 3 months of looking. And we found our first 4 female artists. Wow. We found Hasina, Rishmi, Rifa, and Anwara. And realizing these are the people who need to lead their own resilience. Right? These are the people who need to become the agents of social change in their own communities. And what was fascinating was that as we started to see it, these were some of the most talented, incredibly dedicated, loving, compassionate, empathetic people I've ever worked with in my entire life. And what ended up happening is that the program ended up going from 1 phases to 2 phases to 3 phases. And what was amazing, it started with 1 partner to 2 partners to 3 partners. We started working with many organizations. We worked with UNHCR as our main partner, with UNICEF, IOM. We worked with the International Federation of the Red Cross. We did extensive programs in different sectors, ranging in health, public health, mental health, livelihoods, education, working in community-based protection and child protection, and realizing that the arts needs to be a catalyst. That it's a catalyst for getting communities to talk about themselves. So our artists would be working with the imams, they'd be working with the majis, we'd be working with all the local government officials to make sure that what was being created was encouraged from the community, led by the community, for the community. Right? And what was amazing is as it started to grow, we started to have experiences that nobody could have imagined, which is what we call our scaffolded learning model. Okay. So what it means is that we had interactive storytelling workshops where we would have our artists who were facilitating children and families and women and adolescents to tell their stories as a collaborative narrative. Those narratives then ended up becoming large-scale murals. And we even built interactive musical sculptures out of trash and recycled materials called our Foundstrament Soundstrument project, where we built these giant sculptures and had drumsticks where children were able to play it and thinking, what's the difference in the color between the sounds? And painting all of this garbage and then building these beautiful giant sculptures and making music with the children, right? About literacy, about the importance of being able to use songs and music education to learn about healthy hand washing practices, about recycling. And what happened, and maybe I'll end my answer with this, is that in the end, it's not about me being here talking to you. It's about our artists. And what's happened is from those first 2 guys, we now have 40 Rohingya artists and host community Bangladeshi teaching artists, half men, half women, leading programs year-round, supporting their community. And the ending is that we were doing a program. Okay? We were doing this program, and we were working with UNFPA, doing work with women who'd been through violence. Yeah? Gender-based violence. And we had our women leading a women's-only program. Yeah? And they're working with women, and there was one woman who was very serious, and she was painting with us. And she ends up telling her story. Her name is Dildar Begum. When she was in Myanmar, when her village got attacked, she watched her best friend raped and then murdered. She watched her father be killed, and she watched her husband be tortured and then captured. And she still has not seen him till this day. Yeah, 5 years. And when she fled with her 2 special needs brothers, one who has Down syndrome, with her older sister, her mother and grandmother. And when they fled, they would dig holes in the ground during the daytime and cover themselves with dirt. And then at night, they would run. Yeah? And they did this every day for weeks to get over the mountains in Rakhine, got to the coast of the Naf River. They then wove bamboo into a raft and floated across the Naf River. And when they arrived, they went to an area called Lambashia, which is an area of the refugee camp. She did not speak for 9 months. She had what in the mental health profession we call shock-based mutism. Because of her horrific compounded trauma, she could not speak. She came and she participated in this program that we had in this women-friendly space where our women, Rishmi, Rifa, Anwara, and Ayla, were facilitating. And she spoke for the first time in 9 months. And the first words that she said were this. She said, "I have not felt that I have been alive. I have felt that the last 9 months I have not been alive. This is the first time I have felt that I am alive."
That is powerful.
And that my greatest responsibility, having lost everything I have and having experienced such horrible pain, my responsibility is to share this with others. To take other people who've been through this silence and this pain, and they need to tell their stories, and they need to break their silence. And what was amazing is she said, my greatest responsibility is to work with children, with women, for them to be able to become the future. And they need to do this every single day. And she started working with us.
Wow.
And now she is our lead teaching artist, educator, trainer. So now she trains other women how to train other women. She teaches others how to teach. And now, 4 years later after meeting her, she is our lead artist and she is leading these programs year round. And not only is she leading them, now she has a next generation of artists that she's now started to train, of Samira and Hasina and these incredible women where she is now the leader.
Thank you very much. That actually brings up a lot of great insight into the role art plays just across cultures and across sectors. As you mentioned, education and healthcare and protection and all of those. And then just seeing the growth from when you started with just 4 and then 8 master trainers and then growing into a much larger community of artists and artist teachers. Now, if you can speak a little bit about the art installation that is here, that is to a certain degree a result of that expanding opportunity and allowing other voices to have a stage.
So this exhibition is a moment in history. In the history of Bangladesh, there would be potentially over 1.2 million people that could have been killed if it was not for Sheikh Hasina opening the doors in this country. The world needs to learn from Bangladesh. Every other country closed their doors except tiny Bangladesh with the highest population density in the world. The world needs to learn from this country and the empathy and the compassion of opening their doors here. And what was amazing is this moment, me talking to you right now, is a pivotal moment in history. Because what is fascinating is the name of this exhibition that we've created is the Renaissance of the Rohingya culture. And what it is we've collected artworks from our teams of over 40 artists who were able to make artwork both collectively with their community, with children and with families, and also independently as artists. And we collected all the works. There's 36 works that are in this exhibition. And we collected them over the last 5 years. There's never, in the history of Bangladesh, ever been an exhibition of Rohingya-made artwork, not about the Rohingya community, but by the Rohingya artists and painters to be able to tell their story from their eyes, from their mouths, from their souls. That has never existed in the history of Bangladesh. This moment, being supported by the US State Department and by the EMK Center, is a critical moment in history. And I did a lot of my doctoral research at Teachers College at Columbia University about this, of going from being a victim to a survivor, then from going a survivor to becoming an agent of social change, and then transforming from becoming an agent of social change into a maker of history. We are not recipients of history, we are the makers of history. And that idea, especially for the women we work with, the idea that we have a right to have a dream is proven in this exhibition. And this exhibition is a moment saying that culture matters, that the Rohingya culture is crucial to being able to humanize, and that we need to use the arts and we need to use storytelling to understand that these are people, these are humans. And whether we're talking about Boshir Ullah, Nobi Hussein, Rishmi, Rifa, Nobi Akhtar, when we're talking about Muhammad Noor, Muhammad Hassan, Dildar, Aila, these are real people. These are real people.
Indeed.
Yeah? And they laugh and they cry and they feel. And it's so easy to create a monolith of the Rohingya people. But these are individual souls, beautiful people. And when you walk through this exhibition, you see that, you feel that. And to me, there is something truly groundbreaking and pioneering about the fact that the EMK Center and the US Embassy decided to take a risk on us.
Thank you, thank you. You mentioned earlier one of the chapters within your dissertation is regarding this bus. where you brought Rohingya adolescents to work with the host community to paint this amazing bus that was eventually shared within the New York Times in one of their articles. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
I would love to. Thank you for focusing on that program because it was such a cool program. It was such a wild program. Whether we are Rohingya or whether we are Bangladeshi, the light of knowledge is what keeps us connected.
Yes.
Right? And that was this was their idea, right? That remember, our Bangladeshi and Rohingya teaching artists were facilitating this, right? And so what we did is we got automotive paint, right? And we actually painted the huge, giant school bus, right? And what was fascinating is we painted this giant bus, and with I guess it was probably over 100 participants painted this bus, every single surface, the roof, the entire side,
and the tires, I think,
front and the tires, and the bottom of the tires, and it's enamel, hardcore paint, so it really stays on. And what ended up happening is this is now used every single day for the last 4 years. 2018 is when we did this, to be able to transport students to the Ukiah Secondary College. Yeah? Every day they use this bus. And so you look at that as an artifact, as a usable artifact, and as a usable artifact that is anthropologically, sociologically, psychologically a precedent.
Indeed. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much for the background as well as how Art Illusion got started here in Bangladesh. And indeed, I would like to encourage everyone to come visit the EMK Center and see the exhibition. It is absolutely fascinating to see all the different types of artwork, the portraits, and some of the big murals that cover, 10, 20 feet of the wall. It's absolutely fascinating. Before we end, is there any other message you would like to share for the international community, the Bangladeshi community, and the Rohingya?
The Minister of Education came to this exhibition and said, this is important. This is a moment in history for Bangladesh. Yeah? We know this is difficult. This is a difficult time. This is not easy. Somehow, tiny Bangladesh with a giant population, somehow they took in over 1 million refugees who would likely have been dead if it was not for them. Yeah? We need to tip our hats to Bangladesh, but we also need to support. Yeah? We need to support however we can in ways that aren't always at the front of our minds. People have food, water, shelter. Does that give you a reason to wake up in the morning? Does it give your life meaning or identity or connection?
Right.
We need to find ways to make people feel valued. I talked to our team last night. We video called. Yeah, we video called our Rohingya team from here. We have a WhatsApp group and we videoed our whole team. So they saw it, right? They may not be able to be here, but they saw it. The tears in their eyes, the emotion of these people to say we are being represented at the U.S. Embassy and the Minister of Education cares about us. Seeing that reaction and seeing that connection,
it's powerful.
It's powerful, it's beyond powerful. It is powerful because we can talk about humanization, but this is beyond talking. This is real action.
Yeah.
When our team goes throughout the camp, they wear their burqas, but they're covered in paint. Yeah, they have their one burqa covered in paint, right? And our artists all are covered in paint. So what are they called? Rongur Manush. Rongur Manush, which means the colorful people. Okay? Oh, look, it's the colorful people. That's what the Rohingya people call our team. Yeah, the Rongur Manush, right? And you look at that and you think, that's amazing, number one. And number two, our team has a slogan that we work with the children, okay? And we say, Kajuka, and they repeat, Kajuka, pari, 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 pari. The rough translation is art, community art. Okay, that's basically the translation of it. And so all the children, when our Rongur Manush walk throughout the camp, all the children say, Kajuka, pari, pari. And it's this amazing thing. Yeah, we hear so many depressing stories about the Rohingya community. But there is good stuff happening. I know, I have seen it. I have been there for 5 years. Yeah, it has happened. And if you want to know the stories, read my doctorate. read my dissertation. Yeah, look up the Rohingya art illusion and check it out. Yeah, but the big thing that I would leave people with is that if you are either Bangladeshi or you are Rohingya, you should be proud of yourselves. Yeah, because this is a tough context. This is a tough situation. And there's a lot of difficult things happening here. But there is light in this darkness. And if you can have one droplet of healing in a sea of pain, it just takes one droplet to make ripples.
Yep.
Yeah. And we realize this is just a droplet in a sea of pain. But maybe there can be some colorful ripples that can change the world just a little bit. Yeah? This is history being made. I cannot tell you what an honor it is. Yeah? Dekahwe balo laglo beshi shundur. Shukriya donobar. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Max Frieder, and thank you everyone else for joining us at this episode of AM Talk. And I would like to encourage everyone to come out, check out this groundbreaking art installation here at the EMK Center. Thank you.